Alan Harper, Frontier Chiropractor, is the 11th episode of the first season of Two and a Half Men. And last week I discussed the episode before this, but I hadn't discussed Two and a Half Men in over 10 years before that. And I still feel like I'm going to maybe watch one episode a week. I don't know if I'll continue with that, but for now I'm really enjoying revisiting it. I don't have too many specific thoughts about this episode. I will write down particular jokes that I liked or things that I thought were really funny. With this one, there wasn't really anything specific, but there were some moments that I did still really enjoy. So there will be spoilers from this point on as I go into a little bit of detail about what the episode involves, things that I liked. I did like the overarching message, or at least the message that I perceived, is that it's all about balancing accepting change with staying true to who you are. And we get this with Alan because he realizes that in order to get over Judith, find somebody new, he might need to be open to change. And Alan is somebody who is not good with change. I completely understand that. Definitely relate to Alan in this one. But at the same time, he doesn't want to be stuck in a rut. And this actually comes about because we have a really brilliant opening scene at a movie theatre, and Judith's there, and it turns out she's on a date with a man. And she has new hair and she looks different. And Alan feels kind of jealous. And I can't work out who he's more jealous of. Jealous of Judith's date, who is actually somebody that he already knew because he coaches Jake, or if he's more jealous of Judith because Judith's been able to change herself and move on and embrace this new life, or at least try new things and date new people, and Alan's not ready to do that. But with Charlie's help, he goes clothes shopping, and I have to say I love the scenes in the clothes store. I loved seeing, John Cryer modelling all of these different clothing styles. I think it's such a fun thing to do. Alan clearly wasn't having fun, but the idea of going into a clothing store and trying on clothes you ordinarily wouldn't, clothes you wouldn't normally wear, and just see how they make you feel. Alan's not really loving the experience, but I, as a viewer, definitely was, and I thought that was pretty good fun. And actually, the outfit he ultimately settled on, I thought looked great. I thought he looked wonderful. But that being said, I don't think there's anything wrong with the way that Alan dresses ordinarily. And Alan himself says that he just doesn't feel comfortable in this, in these other clothing. And I feel like that's part of the message that I really love. That it's about accepting change and embracing change, but also staying true to who you are and not changing the way you like to dress just because you feel you should. It has to be something you want to do, and Alan is kind of borderline not quite there yet. So I think it really has some really great messages in this episode. That part of the narrative I really enjoyed. It was also nice for Charlie to go shopping with him because that must have been really tedious. The other part of the narrative, it doesn't take up as much time, but I loved it, and it's Evelyn and Jake reluctantly spending time in each other's company, and the face Holland Taylor made to Jake the second they were left alone in the apartment just amused me so much. And Jake going on and on and on about SpongeBob. I don't care for SpongeBob. I never really have. I don't dislike it. It's just not a show I ever cared for. So I understood the references and who he was talking about, but it kind of made me wonder, was I like that as a child? I've always been very passionate about TV shows, and growing up, I watched a lot of TV shows that I would obsess over. Did I bore adults in the same way by going on and on about them? I imagine I probably did. And I'm the opposite now. Thankfully, because of YouTube, I have an outlet where I can go on and on and on about TV shows. So people in my day-to-day life don't necessarily have to put up with it quite so much. But I imagine, I probably did do the same thing that Jake was doing. And Holland Taylor again just responded amazingly, and I think Angus T. Jones did a great job as well, and the performances were brilliant, and I really thoroughly enjoyed this episode. As I said, there wasn't anything specific in this one that I wanted to quote. There wasn't anything that really stood out to me as being really funny or really entertaining, but just as a whole, from start to finish, I really enjoyed the episode. I think it very well addresses the topic of being able to embrace change while also staying true to yourself. And I think that that's a balancing act, and not something that's easy to do, but something that I think provides some really good food for thought that I really enjoy. Definitely a quality episode, and so far I'm looking forward to continuing with revisiting the show over a decade after I've watched it. keen to see if there are any jokes in it that I didn't get the first time. Well, I binge watched Two and a Half Men over and over and over again for a period of about 2 years back in about 2010, 2011. And then for some reason, I got fed up of it from watching it so much, I just kind of stopped watching it after it finished. Actually, I did watch the show until it finished, but I was still binge watching earlier seasons at that point. But for some reason, I guess I just got to the end and thought, okay, it's time to move on. But now I want to regress. I want to go back, see what it's like. Definitely enjoying it so far. Really hoping that continues.